The forest of Blackthorn Hollow loomed like a bruise on the horizon, its gnarled pines clawing at the gray dusk. A weathered sign at the trailhead read, "Stay on the path." The trees listened. 10 old friends, bound by a pact made in college, ignored the warning as they laughed and unpacked their camping gear. It had been a decade since they last met, and the air buzzed with nostalgia until the firelight caught their faces, revealing flickers of unease. Lila, the planner, organized the campsite with meticulous care, her sharp voice cutting through the chatter. Marcus, the skeptic, mocked the forest's grim reputation, his loud laugh masking a nervous edge. Quiet Sophie sketched the trees in her notebook, her eyes darting to shadows. Greg, the joker, tossed beer cans and bad puns, while Tara, the peacemaker, smoothed over his antics. Reserved Ethan watched the group silently, his gaze lingering on Claire, the dreamer, who stared into the fire as if it whispered secrets. Old Nadia led hikes, her confidence unshaken. Tim, the historian, recited Blackthorn's tales of vanishings, and anxious Becca checked her phone, finding no signal. Jonah, the loner, stayed at the group's edge, whittling a stick into something sharp. As night fell, the forest swallowed sound. No crickets, no wind, just silence so thick it pressed against their skin. Lila raised a toast to old times, but her voice faltered when a distant branch snapped. They laughed it off. Bedrolls were laid, and the group settled in, unaware that Blackthorn was already watching. Part 2. First disappearance. Morning broke, gray and cold. Lila counted the group as they stirred. 9. Greg was gone. His tent was empty, his sleeping bag untouched, his boots still laced by the fire. No footprints led away. Marcus insisted Greg was pranking them, but the silence of the forest mocked his theory. Sophie's sketchbook lay open, showing a half-drawn tree with eyes in its bark. "He didn't scream," she whispered, her voice trembling. They searched in pairs, shouting Greg's name into the void. The trees seemed to lean closer, their shadows pooling like ink. Nadia found a single beer can, crushed, half-buried in moss, but no other trace. Becca clutched her useless phone, muttering about leaving. Ethan suggested they stick together, but Marcus scoffed, storming off alone to prove it was nothing. Claire knelt by the fire pit, tracing shapes in the ash, her lips moving silently. Tim recounted a Blackthorn legend. Those who vanished left no trace because the forest claimed them. The group laughed nervously, but Jonah's whittling grew faster, the blade flashing in his hands. By nightfall, Greg was still missing. The silence deepened, and the friends huddled closer, their campfire a frail shield against the dark. Part 3. Growing fear and failed escape. The second night brought no sleep. Becca vanished. Her tent was zipped shut, her phone left behind, screen cracked. Panic set in. Marcus accused Jonah of hiding something, his voice cracking as he waved a flashlight at the trees. Jonah's eyes glinted, but he said nothing, his knife carving deeper into the wood. Sophie clutched her sketchbook, now filled with frantic drawings of twisted branches and hollow faces. Claire whispered that the forest was breathing, her words slurring like a trance. Nadia rallied them to leave at dawn, mapping a path back to the trailhead. But the trail seemed to twist, landmarks vanishing. Ethan noticed the same gnarled oak appearing at every turn, its roots pulsing faintly. Tara tried to calm everyone, but her voice shook as she admitted she felt watched. Tim, pale, muttered about a ritual sacrifice in Blackthorn's history, earning a shove from Marcus. "Stop scaring us," he snapped, but his hands trembled. By midday, they were lost. The compass spun wildly, and the air grew heavy, like damp velvet. Sophie screamed, pointing at a tree where her own face seemed carved into the bark. When they looked again, it was gone. The group stumbled back to camp, exhausted, trust fraying like old rope. Part 4. Discovery of the secret. Passed on the third night, Tim was gone. His journal lay open, detailing a night 10 years ago, a prank gone wrong. In college, the group had dared a classmate, Owen, to camp alone in Blackthorn. He never returned. They swore never to speak of it, burying the guilt. Now, Claire confessed, her voice hollow. She'd seen Owen's face in the fire last night, mouthing their names. The revelation shattered them. Marcus accused Lila of planning the reunion to expose them. Lila snapped back, blaming Marcus for suggesting the prank. Sophie sobbed, admitting she'd drawn Owen's face in her sketchbook without realizing it. Nadia tried to hold them together, but even she faltered, her confidence crumbling. Ethan whispered that the forest knew their secret, feeding on their guilt. Jonah, silent until now, spoke. "It's not Owen. It's us. We brought this here." That night, the trees seemed to whisper their names. Shadows moved without light. Tara clutched a rosary, praying, while Marcus screamed into the dark, daring the forest to take him. No one slept. The air was thick with dread, and the campfire flickered as if afraid. Part 5. Final breakdown. By the fourth night, only 5 remained: Lila, Ethan, Claire, Nadia, and Jonah. Marcus vanished, leaving only his flashlight, still on, rolling in the dirt. The group unraveled. Lila accused Ethan of hiding something, her eyes wild. Ethan admitted he loved Owen and blamed himself for not stopping the prank. Claire, lost in a trance, carved symbols into her arm, muttering about feeding the roots. Nadia tried to lead them out again, but the trees seemed to shift, blocking their path. Jonah, now openly carving runes into his stick, suggested a sacrifice to appease the forest. "One of us for the rest," he said, his voice calm. Lila screamed at him, calling him insane, but Claire nodded, her eyes glassy. Ethan begged them to stay together, but Nadia, exhausted, snapped. Maybe Jonah's right. Paranoia choked them. They turned on each other, shouting accusations, secrets spilling like blood. The forest watched, its silence louder than their screams. That night, Claire walked into the trees, singing softly. No one stopped her. By morning, she was gone. Part 6, Escape and Haunting. Ending. Dawn broke over a camp of 3, Lila, Ethan, and Jonah. Nadia had vanished in the night, leaving only a torn map. The forest pulsed, its air thick with the scent of decay. Jonah, calm as ever, said the forest demanded one more. "It wants the guiltiest," he whispered, his knife now slick with sap. Lila and Ethan exchanged a glance, their trust shattered. Ethan proposed a plan: they'd walk together, but if the forest chose, they wouldn't fight it. Lila agreed, her hand shaking. Jonah led, his stick now a sharpened spear. Hours passed, the trail looping endlessly, until they reached the gnarled oak again. Its roots writhed like veins. Ethan stopped, his face pale. "It's me," he said. "I let Owen die." Before Lila could protest, he stepped off the path, and the trees closed around him like jaws. Lila and Jonah ran, the trail suddenly clear. They stumbled to the trailhead, collapsing by the sign. Jonah's eyes were empty, his spear gone. Lila drove away, alone, the forest shrinking in her rearview mirror. She told herself she'd escaped, that she was free. But at night, in her quiet apartment, she hears it, a silence too deep, pressing against her skin. She checks the locks, but the shadows move. On her mirror, etched in frost, are 9 names, and hers is last. The forest never lets go.